Hi, everybody. This is Joy LaJeret, and we're doing something a little different today. Um, I have Raymond Hayden and Chrissy Alexander who are going to interview me. Now, this was not my idea, but I've had requests for me to come on and talk since I've done this to all of you for about a year and a half, a little over a year and a half. And I hope it all goes well, but I'd like to introduce my sponsor, Chad Christ, uh, Luscious Moss Studio, which is owned and operated by him in Edgewood, Washington. He has a very creative and cooperative environment for guitarists and drummers, but also he does other things. So if you have any needs, you can look it up on Facebook by going to Luscious Moss Studio or Chad Christ, and I think you can find him there. So with that, somebody's going to start this interview. Have you guys decided who's going first?
Are you kidding
paper,
me?
scissors.
No, there's no rock paper scissors. My mammy taught me right. Ladies are always first.
Well, I'll see if I can find one in the room.
Yeah, exactly.
I used to be, and then I start going to jams.
But before, so I think
Rock
Chrissy should
down.
start, but Chrissy and I did prepare a just a tiny little cover song for you, and it goes like this: Step inside,
walk this way,
you and me, Joy.
Hey.
Okay, maybe we didn't work on it ahead of time.
Hey, it was pretty good for off the fly, though. We did pretty good.
Little Def Leppard for Joy. Okay, Chrissy.
They were just telling me about dueling pianos where you can pay people not to do something.
It's such a clever situation there.
I love it. All right.
Okay, so all right, Miss Joy, we're going to dig in here. So I know as an artist what influenced me to go this route. So what was your first concert, or who was your first inspiration to carry out a tune? What was your go-to?
Well, in about 1998, 1999, I started going to area jams thanks to Shotgun Red and the Nashville Sounds, I believe. He's passed now. And I got up stage at Roy, the old general store, and sang a song. And that was the very first contact with that. After that, I jammed with 24 bands in this area, from very big bands to smaller people that were out there and giving it their best. And I decided at that point that there was enough feedback from the audience that they were requesting me to start a band, so we did in 2000.
That's awesome.
And we called it Gold Rush Fever. I mean Gold Rush, but somebody stole our name.
Those bastards.
Yeah, so I changed it to Gold Rush Fever, and I know somebody else who had a problem like this.
Yes, you do.
Oh, I know. It's like nowadays, you cover all those bases and majority of the time, but back in the day, you just hope that people get it. See, they're trying to steal your thunder. But you didn't let that happen.
Well, there's no. The thing is, there's really no excuse for it because of the internet and everything. You should, if you're going to be a professional in the thing, trust me, you got it. You should put your name in there. And if somebody else has it, okay, don't stop there, but at least see how, are they playing in their basement? Are they big time? I mean, look at it a little bit more clear. So you're creative. Gold Rush Fever is pretty cool.
That is good. Yes.
Yeah? That could be like GRF, like, like Guns N' Roses. GRF, Chicago.
There you go.
So good, great.
Oh, hey, Chrissy.
How many people were in your band? Yes.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Good. We have
in
a caller.
The beginning, I was just back to playing the guitar again. So I had a backup rhythm player, bass player. In the beginning, I don't believe I had a keyboard player at that time, but with all of those people, including a lead and a drummer, we had 5. And as time moved on, and people would come in, and it was like Grand Central Station. They come in, they go out. Sometimes feet first, which I didn't appreciate at all. I told God that has to stop. But at any rate, about 5 people. And I usually, each band had its own, each each time I had to change people because somebody died or moved on, whatever, it took a different personality. It was still the same songs, but we added a keyboard. And I had a lot of different people coming in, filling in from time to time. So we did a wide range of country music, a lot of it older country music.
The real
And
stuff. Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. You know, because it's to me it seems too that you have to have that full band. I mean, a lot of mouths to feed to really play the traditional country. It's hard to just make it
True.
work, you know.
Right.
And I've noticed that, and it's been really hard because I just feel like I'm not doing justice to the song. And so for you to be able to have a keyboardist at that time is so hard to find nowadays. The keyboardists, you know, are always hard to find. The pedal steel, the fiddleist. I mean, they're really hard to gather together. So that's really good that you had that opportunity to have the people that needed to support your music. So that's cool to hear.
Now, I was not a country fan. I've never
Really?
I went to West Virginia to work on a project with a French company, and when I got there, all we had to do at night was karaoke. There was nothing else there, trust me. And Clarksburg, West Virginia was dead as a doornail. It has since changed, but I learned an appreciation for 80s and 90s country, and of course Shania was my big deal.
Mhm.
So after that, I fell in love with it, and I've been doing it ever since. But in my band, we had a variety band. We played everything. We played blues, we played rock, we played country. And when I say rock, I mean classic rock, not the stuff they're doing today.
Yeah.
Not the Cookie Monster stuff. Oh,
I could never do what she does. I mean, that girl can sing rock. She can sing anything, but
Who,
she's
I'm gonna
Chrissy?
rock on with my strap on. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
Chrissy. Uh-oh. I didn't know it was going to be that kind of an interview.
Let me turn the lights down. Let me see what's going on.
Oh my gosh. Hey, Chrissy, real quick. I don't want to
Yes, I
take
have a
away from your
question.
interview. No, I have questions later after you, but there is a caller in line 12. Martha, are you still there? I am. I got a question for this Joy. Martha, can you speak a little closer to the? Yeah. What? You can't hear me?
It's crazy.
Martha, what is your question today for Joy? I've always wanted to know how she pronounces her last name.
what?
What she said, the caller said she wanted to know how you pronounce your last name.
Oh, okay. My husband's father was from Paris, France. He was also an artist,
Oui, oui.
and he had 10 children. So he changed his career from being an artist, painting
producing
pictures, to
to-
being a tattoo artist to support his family. And in honor, I worked for a French company for about 9 years. So I will not pronounce it the way the Americans do. It's a slaughter. So it's LaJeret, and it is, I think, a lingerie. Only roll your R. LaJeret is the last name.
LaJeret.
You should start a company called Lingerie Lingerie. There you go.
No.
Oh, that's beautiful. Absolutely. I knew it was French, but I was just like exactly what he was saying. I just wanted to make sure we do it diligence.
Well, thank you for calling in, Martha, and thank you, Joy, for.
Thank you, Martha, for the question. I
Yeah.
had a little hard of hearing today, so I couldn't understand you, but Raymond did a good job.
Raymond, you're up.
Oh, I'm up. Okay.
Yeah, we're gonna do it. We'll do a back and forth thing. Let's do
Okay,
that.
I like it. You know,
Okay.
the Chrissy Alexander. I am honored, girl. Joy, when I was looking at your bio, I noticed that you and I had something in common. Not only that we're incredibly good-looking, charismatic, and humble people, but that in 6th grade, I also started music, and I saw that you played a couple different instruments, and you were in parades and all this kind of stuff. So I know, you know, we're talking about, you know, now in your band, all this kind of stuff, but I just love digging in to artists. And so I'm curious, back when you got started in around 6th grade, was it just like, oh, cool, it's like I'm going to play, you know, in the fall, I'm going to play soccer and I'm going to play sports and do music. Was it a thing, or did you immediately go, wow, this is more than just a hobby. This is more than just an activity?
Well, in just a few words, it scared the crap out of me.
Oh, honey.
and and I don't think I did it well, but I did it the best I could do at the time. And I wasn't fond of the flute. So in Minnesota, the state bird is the mosquito. You ever try to play the flute, march in a band, and have them biting you? It's no fun.
It's like riding a motorcycle and having the bugs hit you. It's not a fun place to be.
Exactly.
Oh
Yeah,
my God. I'm assuming that
yeah.
happened. I'm assuming that happened a couple
It did.
times. Oh my
It
gosh.
did.
Well, you got to
Yeah.
get your protein somehow.
Yeah.
So so what was I tell you, give us, I'm sure Chrissy wants to know this too, being a badass rock star as she is. What is it? So what was the evolution? You went from flute to accordion. Was piano next?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. All the time after the flute incident, I started taking voice lessons. I went to Catholic school, and the nuns would teach us, if you could afford to pay for it, for voice lessons, and then we would sing in the choir. And I did that all the way through until I got into high school. High school, I was into music. But after high school, I did get back, but I couldn't carry a piano around. So I started with guitar, and I was not a good student. I couldn't stand doing all this stuff that leads to. I thought this is just too much. It was boring, and doing scales was like. So I started doing just rhythm and concentrating more on my singing and using my instrument more as an accompaniment than taking it seriously as a musician at that time.
And that touching on what Raymond said too, I mean, I can barely play with myself, let alone an instrument. So it's just like the whole thing of being able to, pick up an instrument and realize the accompaniment that you can get by writing songs. And that's why you've got so many originals under your belt. I mean, did you find that you were able to almost train yourself to accompany the guitar and vice versa?
Well, I was mostly doing covers. I was, at that time it was pop music and country, folk music, and whatever came across. I mean, if there were crossover like country, whatever, I was doing that. My husband at the time, moving a lot further down the road, he was a classical guitar player, and I see we got a question. Anyway, he was doing a lot of John Denver as I was, and Peter, Paul, and Mary, and all that kind of thing. So mostly covers. Never thought of writing until COVID hit. That was my first. I thought, oh God, if I'm sitting here playing 4 or 5 hours a day, and all these songs are coming to me, and I thought, well, I've never tried this, but I do know how to write. So that's where it all started.
COVID could have been a good thing for a lot of people. It's like when you and I talked, there's a lot of things that I did
Right.
to, better myself and to see what I could do to take advantage of this time. It was a paid vacation for a lot of people. So why not take advantage of it,
I
I'm
also
excited to
have
hear your new song come out.
oh,
Let's
My
talk
song-
about that. Yeah, let's
my
talk about
songs
that.
don't sound good because it's not my band, and I can't, I can't tailor the lead player to play my music. In fact, it's almost non-existent. So I just go basically with the basics of the song and pick the songs that I think that they can play, which means there's a lot of songs out there that they can't play. And you did hear one of my songs out at Stockton's when Chris played The Ghost of Tombstone.
And
But
he's a
that
badass.
one, yeah, that's the one that kind of started everything. I did write a song about battered and abused women. And after that, I did write The Ghost of Tombstone, which was a very, very challenging song for me. But that's what I was experiencing when I visited there. So after that, the rest of the songs just seemed to fall out, and they've been coming ever since. And I just wait until I feel like I can sit down and do them right. I have a new one coming out called Lavender Fields. I finally asked Chris Jones to help me with it because there was a part of it I was too close to, and I simply could not separate myself from that particular part of the song. And he did a beautiful job. It'll be coming out, I'm sure, before long.
Do you want me to read the question, Chrissy?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
Yeah, let's do the question. Go ahead.
Before you do, are you going to read the question that's on our screen?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
I figured out how to do that because I was like, I don't see. You
Yeah,
said
that's
there's
why
a
you're in
comment.
charge. I don't see any of that up here. So go ahead.
It's
Yeah,
from Patrick.
So this question is from Patrick from Dublin Abbey. Says, hi everyone, Patrick from Dublin Abbey. Joy, you've talked a wee bit about your life and travel in a military family. Did you find that the travel and exposure to different locations, cultures, were a benefit or a detriment to your musical development? Great question.
Mm-hmm.
Hi,
Well,
Patrick.
well, Patrick, I know you. We've interviewed, and so I know a little bit about your background. But when we were in the military, I was going to college, and I spent. I met my husband for not this one, but the one prior, who was a U.S. Marine, and we were going to the local college together called St. Cloud University, and I. At that time, was feeling around for what I really wanted to major in. After that, he was stationed in Utah, so I went to the University of Utah and worked on my 4-year degree and my master's degree, and then applied to the University of Wisconsin, where he was assigned for my doctorate. And I am a qualified criminal justice instructor in universities and colleges. I have been certified to teach online, and most of my studies were in, wait for it, terrorism, different types, transnational, national, and domestic. And at that time, people weren't aware of the right-wing movements as much as they are after 9/11, et cetera. And there were a bunch of things that have happened since. But I immersed myself in that kind of thing, and had some friends in the military police, and I was taught by one of the provost marshals in a university in Wisconsin. So the kind of material that I was dealing with was pretty deep, pretty above everybody, including my college professors who half the time didn't know what I was talking about, my committees. So no, I was experiencing a very different thing because of my criminal justice and international studies, my political science studies, which concentrated on criminal justice. So I didn't have too much of I was immersed in the culture in Germany when I went to Volksmarch and talked to people in German from behind the Iron Curtain, etc. But other than that, no, it doesn't reflect in my music, I don't think. I don't know. I guess that's up for the public to decide.
This is such a treat today. I mean, who would know this about you? I mean, unless you really dug in. I mean, it's a different when you see it in a biography, but to hear it coming from your own mouth and describe, I think that is just very impressive, Joy, and I think that's really cool. You've just very well-rounded individual. Yes.
Yeah, it's cool that Chrissy pointed that out, because you've done so much by interviewing different artists and having this platform. Yeah, thank you. But just a reminder that when you go see someone play at a coffee shop or a winery or at the Chateau Saint Michel or Jazz Bones or where the Hard Rock, wherever, you see somebody up there, but you just, our perceptions are so they're just unreal. It's smoke and mirrors, because you just don't know what people are doing. I mean, you have done, like she said, wow, you've done a lot. It's pretty incredible.
This all started. I want to give the credit to Kira Michelle. She is the second singer on my song Thinking About Leaving, which will be released the 28th of November. And Kara had a program. So after I got my songs all produced and ready to go, mastered, and they were sitting there, I thought, how do I promote these? I have no clue. And she had this program, so I hired her. And I hired her to teach me how to market myself and my songs. And one of the things she asked me to do is, because people were streaming and their gigs had stopped and there weren't that many out there. There were two things that I was interested in. All my life, I've struggled and worked in shelters to protect battered women and has a suicide crisis, etc. Blah, blah, blah. But anyway, and known legislatures and worked on the laws to change them and to instruct police departments on how to deal with these things. So it's been a lifelong thing for me. So that was the first thing that came to mind. But as I thought more about it, I thought about the discrimination in the music world against older musicians, and male or female, but a lot when it comes to females, more so maybe in my book. I don't know. I haven't done the research at the collegiate level to tell you. But I thought, let's do something to give voice to people who are older, who may not be heard, who may be suffering through this not being able to gig, and give them a voice and an outlet to explain to us who they are and where they're going and what they might have coming up in the future. So I was going to do veteran musicians, but I thought people would be confused thinking veterans, not military, not
tenured,
people had honed their career. But as I got started, it opened itself to anybody who had matured, and music matures at very different rates. I mean, you can have a girl 12 years old with matured music skills as a musician and a singer that just leaves you like, oh my God. So that kind of got incorporated into it. On top of that, there was this whole appeal of it was just kicked around as a joke. And the more they joked with it, the more fun they had, the more they joined, and the fun got started. So, but it still is a platform to bring out matured musicians. And speaking of that, not actual age-wise matured musicians too. So I do have a next guest coming next Monday. His name is Roger Williamson, and he works a lot with Billy Shoe. I've worked with him. And I kind of try to pick people that fit all genres and all different aspects of the music world. I'm trying to get my photographer to come on and tell us how she does these beautiful pictures. So far, I haven't nabbed her, but I'm working on it. But that's
don't give up.
And then the final reasoning, when I was thinking about all this, and Kira was pressing me for that, I didn't feel my skills were good enough to stream. So I had to think about why I wanted to do it. And during the time that I first got into bands, excuse me, sorry, I think of all those 24 bands that helped me and how many people I picked out that eventually played for me, and the wide scope of everybody in the last 20-some years, 22 years, I guess, that have helped me along my way, who have played for me, who've given me suggestions, who've worked with me. And even today, like good old Lynn Sorensen, Taryn Burnell. I mean, there's just a Ted Pickett. I mean, it's just endless amount of people in this area, including you and Jessica Lunwitty. So I'm so grateful for all of you. And what better way to give a little back than to not only pass this on, to give you all a chance, but to pass this on to people who are struggling just like I was. Working their way through the music business as it's changing.
That's beautiful.
It can be overwhelming.
It can be.
It's very
overwhelming. That's an understatement, Chrissy, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's super overwhelming. Is it your turn or my turn? Because I've got a question.
Is there a question online for her?
I do not see any more questions.
No.
Do you see any, Joy? Okay.
No.
Probably because people are riveted because Joy's actually really talking about her life. I was curious, and I'm not sure if I read this wrong or not, but did you have cancer at one time?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you've lived a life of music, and to some degrees more, some degrees less, whatever, building. So you start Gold Rush Fever, renamed in the 2000s, and then you get cancer. And it was like, like I said, I'm sorry, I'm happy you made it through, but 4 years and you didn't do anything musically during that 4 years. Is that correct?
Yeah.
What
I
was that?
got it
What?
in 2009, and by 2015, after radiation and chemo, and I had two different types at the same time. My body was so run down that I would get on stage and I would have muscle spasms and cramps so bad that I could barely get through the 3 hours, and then I would suffer for 3 or 4 hours after the gig. And I finally just let it dwindle down to nothing, simply because I couldn't physically handle it. And I had to leave my band, and I couldn't tell them goodbye. I just couldn't say it's over. I had to let them realize and go on with other things, and realize that I was unable to do it, which I think they got the message. But I was so heartbroken. For 4 years, I could not pick up a guitar, could not do music. I couldn't listen to country. It was pretty ugly. So I went to one of my friends who'd been in my band. She's a keyboardist. Her husband was a drummer. Deb and Brad Chin had a place in Arizona they had moved to, and they invited me to Yuma. So I did go. I also had a snowbird neighbor where I could stay too. And Kurt has family there. So we made it a trip, and they talked me in. They started playing at home because we were staying with them for a little while. And I started singing some of the old songs. They were encouraging me. And I don't know, something happened. Lit a spark. Maybe I honest to God don't know what it was. But when I got back, I joined a band, the Redmond Senior Band, and they invited me to the Bothell Volunteer Senior Band. And from there, I started going to jams, and here I am.
Oh my gosh.
Bravo.
See, it sucks you back in. It sure does. Bravo. And that music is a rebirth, and it's a healer. And, it's something within us. And a lot of people don't know what music can do. And that was your calling. That's why you're here today. And that's why you support everybody in this industry. And I can't thank you enough. And I'm so inspired by you. So
You're very
you make me
welcome.
cry.
I think it's been more my pleasure than people have come on here, but yeah, I just love you guys, all of you. The musicians that I've encountered are just such amazing human beings. It doesn't matter if you could just barely tinkle on the guitar, or if you're somebody like Chad Christ, you can, amaze. Music is music, and everybody has a message and a voice. And I think we're all bound by the energy of the universe, because the universe itself is comprised of music. I posted something about that online, but nobody read it. And each and every one of us is part of that. That music is in our genes. It's everywhere. It's in the universe. It's everywhere. It's what unites us. It is something that absolutely unites us. And hopefully we'll all stop this stupid fighting and do a little bit more uniting.
Yeah, wouldn't that be something?
It's up to us. That's why,
Amen.
There's a lot of music out there these days, and I think that's the difference between being a musician, being a songwriter, being an artist. I think artists are empaths. They take on, and it's very, very, very difficult.
Sorry. I know it. Can you give me that real quick?
Sorry, Raymond.
What was that?
Hang on. Oh.
Well, I have another person online that did say, "I'm sorry, Chrissy, to make you cry." But Raymond,
it's a happy cry. It is.
Raymond is so right. We need to lead this movement, because without music, people were going crazy, including me during COVID. And our souls were shriveling. We needed that fix, and there were brave souls going out there in spite of COVID that did still play. And I honestly, absolutely believe that we have the power to make a difference in the world through our music and through the people we are, all of us.
And all of us, there's a
Yes.
comment. There's a comment
Yes,
from a user. It
yes,
says, someone
yes.
says, I still have problems getting out there and playing with others. So that's why it's valuable. So Joy, what I mean, you've interviewed people, you are a musician, have been for a long time. What this person said, I still have problems getting out there and playing with others. What would your advice to them be?
Well, I don't know because I still struggle. Um, I'm a perfectionist and I always want to give the very best performance. So when I make a mistake, it's very hard on me. But I, honest to God, has the same stage fright that I had when I was playing that damn Fruit and Afraid. I mean, I still am afraid of the crowd.
I
And
don't
to some
believe that
extent,
for one moment. I
well,
don't I don't
once
believe
I start, once I start to sing, once I start to sing and I look at the audience, and some reason I look at everybody and I can tell who's responding to me and who isn't and in what way. And as soon as I feel that coming back at me, my confidence returns. And
See, I was right. That didn't happen when you were playing
Yeah.
flute. You're an
I
artist now.
know.
You're connecting. You're not going to connect with everyone. And what you just said, am I wrong, Chrissy?
You're right. I mean, Raymond's right. I mean, the whole thing is once you see what your audience and how they're responding and their facial expressions, and when they just look at you and they're like, wow, that is such a confidence booster. And when you see that, when you go out and play, I mean, when you see people shaking their head, that means holy shit, this person's really good. And you've seen that. You get up there and I walk in and I'm so glad to see you jamming, with the guys. And I mean, to see Billy Shoe and to see Chad embrace what you're doing and support you and guide you and not be critical about what each of us are doing. I mean, I know I'm very critical as a singer. I know when I screw up, I get mad at myself because I know better. But at the same time, you've got to understand that the people that are so understanding of music and how it really, really works are going to be your number one supporters. And how you touch them with your songs, how you touch them with your playing, and your response to them, that just it reflects definitely when you're on stage.
Absolutely.
So
And
So my
I was just going to say
right,
99, just to tag on to what Mrs. Chrissy Alexander just said there so eloquently. Most people out there don't have a clue if you miss a note. Don't
yeah,
have
you're
a
so
no,
clue.
right.
they don't.
Or say the same verse over and over and over again.
Never done that before.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah. So my advice to the person who left the question is, yes, it's hard. But there is also the rewards if they come up to you afterwards and tell you, I loved your performance, or make a comment of any kind. I mean, I've had people say pretty wild things to me that I'm like, oh my God, this did not come from me. This comes from God, because that wasn't me doing that. But yeah, just go out there and do it and feel the love. I mean, for everything you put out there, good or bad, mistakes and all.
The feels.
Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. You're going to feel that love coming back at some point, and it can be overwhelming.
That it feels so good. I mean, it's just it's that whole thing of those 4 years of you being away and healing and contradicting what you should be doing with or without music.
Amen.
It's that reassurance, that this is what I'm meant to do. Whatever capacity it is. I mean, as long as you're up there, where I was just talking to someone about it this weekend, it's 4 hours from escaping from reality. It's 4 hours of being somebody different. It's 4 hours of you being front and center for people that come to see you. And you've got to embrace that, just think that not a lot of people, like the person that was talking about how it's hard for them to get out and play with others. Don't be scared, because there are musicians out there that are going to help you. And then it's just going to entice you to come back and do better, and just to, take constructive criticism and not take it to heart. I think that's what a lot of people do. They take it like, oh my God, they
Oh,
say,
I've done that. I've
you know,
taken it.
and you just have to say, okay, well, I asked them for advice. This is what they're telling me. I need to either accept it and appreciate it or look at it as they don't know what they're doing and then just have it discourage them. I mean, you've got to just, hit the ground running. Go in there with a pork chop around your neck and say, hey, I'm here. I'm gonna do this tonight.
Did you say a pork chop around your neck?
Yeah,
she did.
It's like throwing you to the wolves, with the pork chop around your
She
neck.
did. Raymond, I got a question for you.
I like it.
I got a question for Raymond.
Well, shoot, Joy.
Raymond,
I'd be honored. I'm here.
I have a question for you.
I'm here.
Sorry. Okay. I want to know, you've been out there most of your life, and you're not as old as I am, but
yeah, I have been, Jay.
You're an old hand at all of this. You've done a lot of touring, and you've got your fingers in an awful lot of pies. So what did we both you, first you and then Chrissy, I'm taking over, sorry. What would you give, what this advice, what advice would you give the person who just said this?
I still have problems with getting out there and playing with others. That's a hard, it seems like a really simple thing to answer. That's a hard thing. I would say my initial response would be, if there's anything you're not good at, I don't care what it is, just do it more in baby steps, right? So if you're afraid to get up with people, maybe you go to an open mic first, or maybe you go to a rock karaoke. Things that are safe where people aren't expecting a level of professionalism, right? Exactly. In rock karaoke, open mics, jams, all that, that's just fun. So that would probably be the first thing, is get out there, do some of that stuff that doesn't put pressure on you. But then if you don't, I'm going to take something from what you said earlier, or what either you or Chrissy said, which is understand your why. What, seriously, you're like, you're getting too complicated. It's too philosophical. No. I have a problem with getting up and playing with others. Well, let's stop. Why do you want to get up and play with others? If you understand what that is, if you understand why you want to do it. Hey, if your reason is, I want to get up and play with others because I want to bring in some supplemental income, that's one thing. I want to get up and play with others because I love having the spotlight on me. That's great. There's nothing wrong. I want to be a rock star. My personal one is, I want to make a difference. I'm a goofball, a lot of things, but I want to make a difference. And so that drives it. So for the person who wrote that in, I know we focused a lot on it, but it was a beautiful statement, is if you understand why you want to do it, whatever that is, then allow that to feed why you get up there and do it, and it will get easier, Mm-hmm. And then I will just say lastly is, I'm 55. I'm in 2 bands right now. I've been doing this for my entire life, tours in Europe and the East Coast and wherever as a keyboard player. And I still get nervous. It's different. Like we did a show at McMenamin's with Strange All Right this last Friday, and I get an anxiety. But then I go back to, why are you doing this? Well, because there's people out there, and I'm gonna be able to make a difference in my own way. So that, I know that was a lot, but that's how I would answer that.
Well, you're next, Chrissy. Thank you, Raymond. And that's, I get that. I like it.
Well, I echo that too, because I get nervous just as well. If it's a new venue, for instance, and it's a hard place to get into, or it's whether you're at a state playing somewhere. It's one of those things where you get up, and to me, it's about the sound of the room as well. Mm-hmm. If you go in and you see this beautiful venue with the big stage, you know that you're not just in this little teeny corner anymore, playing on a stage that only accommodates 3 or 4 musicians. You've got this big open floor to do whatever the hell you want and to own that stage. That is your territory for the next 4 hours. And when you can hear yourself vocally, or through the instrument side, but when you can hear yourself playing and hearing how you can control the atmosphere by how you're singing and being able to hear how you sound, that's a big difference for me. I like to be able to hear that my voice is being heard and I'm not having to struggle. And that all comes down to the sound tech. I mean, there's so many elements, so many
Absolutely.
elements. And, you don't want to be like, I can't hear you. You don't want to let people know that you're at that stage of being conflicted because something's not going your way. But when you get into that room and you've got your fellow mates next to you, and I look at it as more of appreciation, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be there.
Yeah.
And that's what this person needs to understand. You got to always look at this thing with the glass half full. You've got to look at is these people are here to support you, whether you just play an instrument or you sing. We're asking you to come up, sign your name up on the list, and get up and jam with the band. That's what they're there for, and that's why musicians do it. That's why they rock karaoke. That's why they have jam nights, because they are encouraging people with that distraught of being able to play with others to get up and unleash the beast. I mean, it's like, Raymond was saying, you don't question. If you're asking the question, there's a reason why. Is it about income? Is it about me getting out of my box? And I feel that it's because you've got something to say. Mm-hmm. And whether it be a song that relates to whatever it is you're going through at that time, so be it, let it out. And I think that's what that person needs to do. Yeah.
Well said. Well said.
I think we've got 2 more commenters.
I'll read those for you, Joy, because this is Chrissy and I are taking the control back.
Yeah. You don't get to no more role reversal for you.
Chrissy's the boss. I'm her minion. So, and I just want to reiterate, number one, what a beautiful thing that people are taking the time to actually be here for Joy, celebrate her, and ask questions. A reminder, I cannot see who you are. So that's why if I don't mention your name, besides earlier that he wrote it in there. Anyway, so it said, a Facebook user said, love the stories. I am surrounded by local musicians that are all struggling to get there. I support a lot of local, ! Thank
you for that.
Yes. And then another, because it is a struggle. It's a beautiful struggle that we choose, but it nonetheless, it is a struggle. So, Facebook user, I have played on stage at McMenamin's. Congratulations. Fantastic. Yes. That's a beautiful stage. Maybe
sticky floors.
Sticky. Oh my God. Right.
It's weird. I don't know what the sticky comes from.
It's like sticky. Yes. So thank you guys for writing it. Yeah, that's a good point, right? Oh my God, the stories we could tell. Some places you play it sticky, you know why. Other places, I think it's just a lot. I think it's just a lot of spilled alcohol.
Gotta be an inside joke. So. I don't know what they're talking about.
Well, just come out to there one night. Yeah, spilled alcohol. They just don't like them off the floors. That's all.
Yes. Exactly.
Beautiful wood floors.
I want to make a comment about something Chrissy said about sound. I'm a stickler, and I know when I go up and do jams, there are people that like to shoot me, but I want that sound, not just for me, but anybody who comes after me. Sound is absolutely critical. And you can, a good soundman can make you sound like crap, or they can make you sound like a star. So my husband was my sound man, and we both decided to work for a production called Rhino here in the Seattle area. At that time, it was Tukwila. And we saw stars on stage and set up their stage, and I'd drive them and do their wardrobes and, just on and on, all that stuff. I'd set up a stage with Trish Sherwood.
I love her.
And so the bottom line is, you can tell when you go to a concert after a while who's the good sound man and who is not. So my suggestion to anybody out there, make sure you learn sound. Make sure you know what's coming out. And I've seen, I can't even remember who they were. They were out at the Evergreen, and he actually came off the stage all the way back up to the top of the bleachers to listen to the sound to make sure it was where it should be. And this is a very important lesson. And no matter if you're just sitting there in a coffee house playing on your guitar, or whether you're in at State Fair with thousands of people, sound is important. Please, I bid you to learn it.
Well,
It is, you're right.
Yeah. I just want to jump into that too, because Joy, you said, you know, a lot of people, even big artists, well, big artists are different. They have a budget where they can bring in the biggest sound companies, but I will leave the band names out. We just recently saw 2 major bands at Climate Pledge, and you would think 2 of the biggest bands in the world for the past 40 years, they both are going to sound absolutely amazing. Band 1 sounded pristine, absolutely amazing. Band 2 got up there, and the mid-range was muffled,
Yep.
and I was like, what? How does this even happen? So your words are good. At the very least, I'll just interject. When you show up to a club, I was taught a long time ago, the first person you introduce yourself to after the owner or whoever booked you or the bartender, whatever, you know, so that they know you're there, is you find that sound person. Don't get sappy, but get up there. You shake their hand. You tell them anything you need. You let me know, and you listen to them, and you don't noodle, whatever. The best thing you can do to back up what you said, Joy, is to make that sound person understand how important they are.
Absolutely.
And come prepared too. You know, have a writer, have a stage plot. What musicians need what. I mean, the trained techs. Like, I love Brad Gregory. He is, oh my God, that guy can manage 12, 13 people on a stage. You know, he's very patient. And to understand that these little elements help them, just like as a musician, chords help you, you know, notes help you, all these different things that help each individual artist. The same thing for the sound tech. The more ammo he has to work with, the better it's going to work for you. Like, there's songs where I need somewhat of a delay or some sort of effect on it, and I will send them that song or the list of songs ahead of time so they can relate to what it is that I'm trying to tell them. Just because there's, you know, like Still of the Night.
Still the night.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites to do. You know, and it's like, and you do this real long draw at the end, and then he just makes it echoes, like, it just resonates, you know. So you want somebody who can do that, and then when they do it without asking, it's like, holy shit, this guy knows what they're doing, you know. So I mean, the sound is very important. Like, I know if you're just working without a sound guy and you've got your own band who's providing the PA, you know, and they're running everything from the back end, you know, me as the front person will go out, listen to how they're playing. That's why the first song is always your sound check, right? You go out and you check the levels, you check with management, you know, thumbs up, thumbs down, you know. It's very important. And, you know, when we played at Stockton's for my birthday weekend, they were so praiseful of the volume. People could still talk and hear, you know, amongst themselves.
Yes.
It wasn't one instrument that was overcrowding another. I mean, it was very well elevated. And so yeah, sound is a big difference. So sound is.
Hey, just real quick
Yes.
clarification. When you were saying Still the Night, you were talking about Whitesnake, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I love Whitesnake. When I heard the album, sorry, Joe, just for 1 second, we're gonna geek out. When I heard "Slide It In" by Whitesnake back in the 80s, I was like, "Who the hell are these guys?" And yes, okay, sorry.
I got to meet Tawny Katane. She was a badass. I just remember this big red hair, and she was just amazing. You know, I wish she was still around. You know, but it was just like, you're right. I mean, I grew up in that era. You know, my first band was Heart and Mr. Mister. That was my first band.
Kiri.
So I grew up, yeah, Kiri. So I mean, that's, you know, I was an 80s kid. You know, that's 70s, 80s, 90s is what got me. But yeah, Heart was my first thing, and being able to pick songs. So that was my question for you is next. What genres influenced you the most? Did you feel like I listened to Yanni, I listened to opera, I listened to all these different types of music to be able to come up with an understanding of how music works on different, not demographics, but just different sounds and different things that you can maybe contribute something to make your own original sound. Is there anything that you found that totally touched a nerve that says, you know what, I like the way this is played. I like this. Have you ever taken any type of gathering from any songs that you've heard before?
Yeah, I guess I have. I've never really stopped to think about it, but Most of the music that I listen to all genres, and of course had to play on the piano. If you're a pianist, you've learned the classics. um, so, and I've even learned them at the university as well. Um, but I think there's something in me. I don't know what it is. I can't get rid of it. I tried. But I like country rock and I like that fast music. I mean, I like the fiddle, I like the steel, I like all of that, but I also like it fast.
Yeah.
There's a time and place for slower music, but when you got a dancing crowd, you judge where they're at. I mean, if they need faster music, you can sense that. If they need to slow down because they're getting a little tired, you can sense that too. And so while I've always had a playlist, I've also known how to use it. But as far as any other music genre, I'm stuck in country. I don't know. I like Canadian country. I'm not that fond of Southern country, but I borrow what I need and what I hear. And I think that the number one thing I listen for, even more so than lyrics, is that beat.
Yeah.
The beat. The beat is what appeals to me. And writing a song around a beat is not necessarily what I do, because when I write my songs, there's a cadence there, but it doesn't come out until we put a drum in it.
Right. Awesome. That's something new.
That's true. Yeah.
But that's something that I wouldn't expect from you. Just listening to your songs, listening to conversations we've had, even here at our house, on Honky Tonk Happy Hour and all that and whatever. Not that you don't think other instruments are important, but just hearing you, there was passion and your eyes smiled. You can see joy in people, and it literally not. That's a pun, but. No, that was great. You actually did you have a follow-up question to that, Chrissy, or you made me think of something?
No, I was just going to touch on that because it's true. It even goes by song selection. Like when I'm putting together a set list, it's the same thing. You want to put something catchy on there, and you've got to know your steps. So okay, this is a 2-step crowd. Let's throw in a cha-cha. Let's throw in a 10-step. So it's very important to read the music and to read the crowd and understand you've got this list of songs that you can just grab from. And I'm the same way with country. The same thing. I like the old fast beat 80s, 90s stuff. This new shit that's out there nowadays. I want to puke. But it's just
I like this new shit.
Oh my God.
Hey, hold on.
That's one-hit wonders.
That's okay. Everybody has different tastes. Chrissy, Joy, shake hands.
I just remember my guitarist saying, if they want to play it's country, they just throw in a banjo. We actually thought about writing a song called Throwing a Banjo, and sitting in a truck and going down a dirt road that they've never lived on, so it's just, it's about song selection and getting something that's going to move you as a performer, because if you don't like doing the song, then it's going to show, and there's songs that I just want to kill myself, but we have to do it because the crowd likes it, but you just have to make it work.
I got to say something to Raymond about our little discussion here. You have to remember that Chrissy is not as old as I am. So when she says country, she's not talking about country western that I grew up on that I didn't like. She's a little further in the advance. So while we're saying old and new, actually it's probably more like classic and new.
Right.
They're getting awful close together. They just keep moving in.
Well, you are not old, Joy. You are like a Cabernet Sauvignon Blanc.
That's right.
Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. That was actually I really enjoyed that, hearing your answer to Chrissy's question. So if you were a tree. I'm just kidding. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. No. What would you be? We've got a caller on line 6. Caller. Hey, this is Frank. Hey, Joy. So if you're going down to the local bar, hey, hang on, caller. Can you move away from the microphone just a little bit? Sure. So if you're going down to a bar, Joy, would you drink a beer or whiskey?
Ooh.
I wouldn't do either. I'd die. Cannot
Thanks,
have
Frank.
alcohol. I used to drink a little here and there, but never much because I was raised by a mom who had a built-in quota. She just knew after she's never took more than 3 drinks. 1 or 2 is her limit.
Hmm.
And as a
I should live
result,
by
I
that.
watch people around me that drink, and um, I I like wine. I like liqueurs. I love Southern Comfort, but I was just never it never was a problem for me. And even while I enjoy it, I can no longer have it, and I don't have a problem with other people. I mean, that's their problem. That's their life. I don't necessarily push
It's their-
alcohol. I like to think that when people go out to have a good time and dancing to my songs, that they're going to wear it all off anyway. So it's just all built in.
Well said. Well said, Joy. Well, people want to know too. I mean, they want to know the musical stuff, but people like to know, I wonder if other little things about you. So
Yeah.
Well, yeah, my
thanks, Frank.
husband, my I don't usually talk to cows. You can tell Frank. I know who he is.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's an inside joke, Chrissy.
I was gonna say
Anyway,
a
I'm
cow
waiting.
moo. Okay.
I'm
You
waiting. Yeah,
don't
well, he
want
fell in love with a redhead girl, cheated on me, and he's on my list.
you don't want to know,
Oh.
Chrissy.
Okay. Bad juju. I'll throw a flag.
Throw a
My
flag.
spot rag.
So I'm still
Mm.
waiting for the question about the band. If I could play in any band, what band would I play in?
That was it. Yep. Is there a
Uh,
band, and what venue would you play in if you were with that band?
I would. Well, I'm not good enough. I mean, I know that.
No, this is
But if
Stop,
I
stop,
were,
stop, stop, stop.
Uh-huh.
I would love
Answer the
to play.
damn question, woman.
No.
I'd love to play with Tornado. I mean, I'm sorry, Little Big Town. Their song Tornado, and those two female singers just blow me away. Second choice would be Limberlost.
Oh yes.
Both of those bands, that's a local band, and of course the other one's a national band or international, I think.
I used to play keyboards for Limberlost.
Yes, you did. And I think those two bands are worthy. And I
Aw.
absolutely love the music. Limberlost, I'm not as familiar with as Little Big Town, but their just sound, their beats. If you listen to Tornado, which song I've learned,
It's one of
no
my
drummer
favorites,
knows
yeah.
it to play it.
Yeah, it's one of my
It has the
favorites.
most unusual beat, and I absolutely love it. And I think people dancing to it would too.
It is a great song. I've got a lot of them on my set list as well. It's just that one, and
A lot of Little Big Town.
yeah, I love
Cool.
LBT. They're pretty cool. Yeah.
Cool. You
Yeah.
guys talking in acronyms and stuff. I love
I
LBT.
know.
Jeez. Let me catch up while you guys get your acronyms straight. Hey, I have so you're talking. I mean, it's a great question. So I always love to find out who inspires, or who artists want to be a part. So, but you, as Joy LaJeret, Chad Quist, he's your sponsor. He's where you record. What is your guys? And I know there's a lot that goes on. If you were to bullet point it, what is your recording process? You working with, and what's it like working with Chad?
Well, when I make a recording, after I got a song and I put the chords to it and whatever, I sing it on my phone and send it to Chad. He listens to it. That poor guy. And he has to say, oh my God, when are we going to do this? So I go into the studio and he plays, and then I learn the song from his recording. When I'm ready, I go in and record the actual song. And in the meantime, I'm looking for backup singer. I'm looking for a drummer. I'm looking for, a lot of times Chad plays bass, but sometimes I want one that plays fiddle too. And one of the finest steel players I ever played with when I first started is Dave Harmonson. And he plays floor steel, lap steel, dobro. I mean, mandolin. I mean, that guy.
Country Dave.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so these are the people that I pick from, and I listen around. I listen to jams. I listen to the people that I like to hear in the song because the song would adapt to that. And then he sends these recordings to them, and they learn the music, and then they schedule their time to come in. And I've used Doug McGrew mostly, and he learns. He creates the beat that should go with it under the direction of Chad, based on the song that I singing and wrote. And then we add people like the backup singer and whatever, but most parts Chad plays. He plays the rhythm, he plays the lead, he plays the bass. And it's all what I hear in the song when I'm putting it together, how I want it. Just like Jessica, I kind of know what I want in that song and where. And then Chad takes all that junk and tries to make a song out of it by putting it together. And at that point, we listen to it, many different phases of listening to it, to finally, I hear what I want to hear, and we send it off to be mastered.
Isn't that cool? The finished project is, that's awesome.
That's
Chad's
cool.
very talented. He's very patient, and he knows what he's doing. And
yes,
so,
he is.
We had to do a demo for my apocalyptic band, which was like I was talking to you about that before. So it was very edgy rock, and to put pieces of songs together and make them blend to give like a 30-second preview of what we do as a band, and Chad, it's just the way he does his work. It's very clean. It's very just polished in what he does. So he takes very good pride in his work. Yeah.
He has a super good ear. I mean, that's another thing. If you're going to get a producer, make sure he has a good ear. Chad's got an extremely good ear. Yeah.
Or she. Yeah. Ears are important. Well, and it's such a difficult, it's a difficult task to be a producer. There's so much involved. It's like being in a good relationship, right? Because the producer has to have a great ear. They should be somewhat, playing an instrument definitely helps. They don't have to, but doing that, but also having a discerning ear, because you take a band like, one example would be Guns N' Roses, who put out an album with Mike Klink as a producer, Guns N' Roses, Appetite for Destruction, who I think is unarguably one of the greatest rock albums of all time. And 10 years later, they released an album called Chinese Democracy, and it wasn't Mike Klink that produced it. I don't know. I can't remember who the producer was, but it was produced so well that the soul was sucked out of it. And the song, and it just was, I mean, the imperfections in songs are a lot of the times what
I get rid of them as many as I can. Chad's always telling me you're taking out too much.
You listen to him, because seriously, I mean, okay, if you hear something that when you listen to it every time is going to drive you crazy, that's one thing. But hiring a producer is like being, whether you're a Christian or Catholic or a Buddhist or an atheist or whatever, you have to have faith. And a producer is like that. You don't hold them up and exalt them. But if you hire a producer, you're putting your trust that they have your best interest at heart. And so if they tell you, you're sucking the life out of it, because mistakes. I mean, I listened to the show that Groove the Astronaut did. I watched the video back, and there was a couple things that during the show, I was like, oh, why, damn it. And I listened back, and I was like, God, that sounds kind of cool. So it's so that producer thing, that's why Chad is so good, because he has that ability to hear all that. And I haven't got to work with him that way. I've heard from other people. I've seen him perform with Heart by Heart, and he's a stellar guitarist too. But you're very fortunate to be able to work with him.
I think
we're doing a Christmas album. That's what's gonna. I told him yesterday. I said I want to do a Christmas album. So
nice.
That's our next venture. Yeah.
Congratulations! I can't wait.
I know it's gonna be fun. So, and so that's my question. My next question for you, Joy, would be, for instance, I remember growing up, you hear the sound of Aerosmith. Every band had their own distinct sound. You had Boston, Aerosmith, the Eagles, you had Guns N' Roses, you had Metallica. I mean, everybody had their own sounds. Do you see that bands nowadays are starting to steal a lot of that sound rather than being creative and making it their own? Or do you feel like bands are all sounding the same nowadays as far as the artists are concerned? I can't tell one male artist from the other in country music nowadays. So I was curious, do you feel like there's been such a steer away from bands trying to make it their own rather than people just saying, hey, I've got money to put
But
me in the top
Jessica
5
Lynn,
charts?
excuse me, sorry,
Yeah.
Jessica Lynn Whitty told me I should go to Nashville. And this is the very reason that I did not. All of those musicians are studio musicians and they play for all the stars. And Jessica is the kind of girl that says, no, I want it done like this. So it gets done her way. But not everybody is like that. And, she's experienced enough where she can do it. But for me, I don't want that sound. I don't like that. It's all the same. Like you said, to me, it's all the same. So I prefer, that's why I went to Chad. He's a progressive rocker. He's not a country player. He does play country, but he's not a country player. So that's why I went to him, because I knew that whatever he did with my music, which I had to approve, of course, would be different. And that's where I'm at. And I like Canadian music, Canadian country music. And as a result of that, I'm looking for something that sounds still country, but sounds different than the Nashville sound. Oh God, they're going to hate me.
No one's you're just speaking your truth. I mean, there's nothing wrong. You're going to always have people out there who are going to be offended by anything you say. And it's like, don't worry about other people. Do your thing, man. You're an artist. Do it. Just no name calling.
Yeah.
I will Amazon a bar of soap over to you.
I just look at songs like Music on Murder, or Murder on Music Row with George Strait and Alan Jackson. I mean, that says it all right there. It tells you what the traditional C&W artists think about things nowadays. And there's a song that Waylon had written. It's called If Old Hank Could See Us Now. I mean, it's just, people taking their music out to lunch, getting all dressed up on their fancy planes and doing all that. So, I mean, it's just, that's the era that I appreciated back then, because your whole image of writing music was about your life experience, and rather than telling, like, let's say I'm this new artist and it's like, okay, well, here's a song for you. Well, okay, it wasn't written by me, but I'll do it because that's what the people want to hear and that's what the charts want to hear. So it's like, I feel a lot of these artists are getting away from why they're there in the first place. And that's why I was telling you before that it's so important to write your own music, because that's where the money comes in. They don't want to have to pay a third party to do that. And so when you can write your own music, you can say whatever the hell you want. And that's why you have your Chris Stapletons and you have, those types that are out there doing the real deal, rather than the ones that are getting handed a song that they don't believe in or don't even know anything about.
There's a youngest thing, right? But you're still talking, but your mouth isn't, so there was a little delay there. But there's a guy called, I think his name is Robert Henry Band. And the guy was a rocker, became a country artist. And so he's got all these beats I absolutely love.
Oh, right on.
And he's got this song about bringing down the established order in Nashville. And, it's time to something. Storm the Gate, I think, is the name of the song. If you ever get a chance, Chrissy, to listen to that.
Okay.
But he's very original. And yes, I like every bit of his music. I wish I could see him in person, but he's not in this area a lot. So, but he's out on the road. So do look him up if you want to.
Yeah. Sure.
Robert Henry, him and Jessica had the same booking agent.
Oh, yeah.
He's got a very Johnny Cash sounding voice.
Yeah, Liz.
And it's funny because you see this young, good looking kid, long hair, cowboy hat. He's like, "How you doing? How you doing? How you doing?" Just got that really low voice. But yeah.
He's
Like
just
Jamie Johnson's one of my favorites. Jamie Johnson, when I first heard him come out, I was like, oh my God, I love this guy.
I'm gonna have to listen to that.
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
him.
Yeah, Jamie
But
Johnson.
guys, you know what time it is?
What time is it? Is it time to eat ice
Is it
cream?
cocktail hour? I'm at cocktail hour and hear about ice cream.
Hold on, before if you're gonna shut things down, you gotta let people know where they can find out. I mean, before you do that, you gotta let people know where they can find out about you. Websites.
We need to do this again because obviously there's more to be covered here. So.
There's lots more. I got look at see, I got all kinds of questions.
Yeah.
Okay, how about you pick that each one of you pick 2 questions that you really think are the best questions that you want to ask.
Okay, let me look at my list.
We're gonna look at our list, check them twice, find out who's Joy's not in nice. Chrissy Alexander.
To town.
You gotta get on the same page.
She's darling.
Chrissy,
Raymond, I'm beginning to think
On
you're
the back of my
Chrissy.
Costco. Remember that day you were sitting there? I was
remember that.
I just had all these questions coming out when we were there that night.
I just have to say real quick. By the way, I don't believe I've ever met Chrissy, but I have watched your music. I have listened to your music. We know some similar people, and I'm a fan. You're a very talented. You're a very talented artist. So it's really cool to be in here, joining you to lift up Joy LaJeret.
LaJeret. Wait. Yes, I appreciate that, Raymond. Thank you.
She is so polished, Raymond. When she gets up on stage, it's like, oh my God, what am I doing up here? This girl's amazing.
Remember what I told you a long time ago.
I
from
know.
Kurt Cobain to Queen and everything in between. We all have different. There's Americana. There's Queensryche. You can't compare. You can't ever compare. Shame on you, Joy.
No, I'm getting coal again for Christmas. Coal again.
Well, you're damn sure not.
Coal again. Coal again for Christmas. There you go. See, that's one of the songs I've got. It's called "Tangled Up in the Tinsel."
Oh, cool.
Isn't that cute? So there's a song I could add for that. Coal. What'd you say it was? Coal in the stocking again or something?
I don't know, but I'm getting coal again, and all I want is a new guitar.
See, there's a song. Jeez.
Well, while Chrissy is looking at her list, I do have one of my 2 questions.
You go first then.
And that question, sorry, there's a caller trying to call in on line 13, but we're not taking calls anymore. This is one of my favorite. I know it's a super easy. You hear the question 1,000 times, but when I listen to podcasts, it's my favorite thing to learn about artists. What is something that would surprise people to know about you? And I'm not talking, it could be music, it could be anything. What is something that if people found out about you that would they'd be like, dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
Well, I was raised by a single mother. And she worked 3 jobs to support us so she didn't have to go on welfare. Never had a penny of child support. Was helped by her family. And she finally found the right person for her. At least she thought she did when I was about 6 years old. And by the time I was 12, that marriage was over. And my mom cried almost for 2 years. And I love both of them, my stepfather and my mother, and I had to play a fine line between them. But I think the thing they taught me is that when you recognize, no matter what you're doing, because it takes 2 people to make marriage, and if one side just plain isn't working, even with counseling and everything that you can put into it, you try again. And I've been married this Curtis the 4th time. And back in the day, man could beat a woman. No big deal. Unfortunately, they had that slightly misconstrued because men didn't beat women. Little boys did. calling themselves men. And so I went through 2 marriages like that before I finally met a U.S. Marine. But my son committed suicide at 19. He was in the military. My kids were in the military. And I'm writing a song about that. It's called Lavender Fields, soon be out. And I they broke our marriage up, much as, I wish it hadn't happened, but it did. And after that, my children wouldn't talk to me. And I spent 20 some years with no children talking to me or having anything to do with me. And I managed to survive on my own, saying, they got to sort through that problem. They're 18 years old. It's now up to them. They're responsible. I did the best I could with what I had. Yes, I made mistakes. I'm human. But so did the world make mistakes. I wasn't the only one making mistakes at that time. And, I knew that my third marriage was going to end, but I also felt that he was going to go on to better things. My family was very difficult, and he had post-traumatic stress disorder. And even though he became an officer in the United States military, there were a lot of problems there. And so I believed the divorce was the best for both of us. So I spent many, many years alone. I spent many years without children, without anybody at holidays or Christmases or whatever. And it made me stronger. And it made me realize, you don't realize how strong you are until you have to face problems like this.
Amen,
And once you
sister.
face them, and once you find yourself on the other side, you can truly appreciate where you are now. I have a man who's not perfect. He drives me nuts. I don't know. Every other day I want to strangle him. But, he's challenged me. He's helped me. He's always been there to support me. We've been together almost 25 years now.
Congratulations.
And I wouldn't trade him for a mule, although I think there's a lot of similarities. And, once you realize how to fix your mistakes, once you face them, and once you solve your problems and become as good a person as you can become, which is a constant journey, it's never over. It's amazing what influence you have on people all around you. And I did have one daughter come back. She is now working on being a musician too. But, my son was always there, but he has some issues. He's a veteran. So the thing is, stay strong. Troubles are going to come, but they make you grow. And when you grow into something you would never imagine you'd be.
A pinnacle.
Thank you for sharing that. That was very vulnerable and
honey,
not what I expected. So, yep, I understand your songwriting a lot more now.
Mm-hmm.
Seriously,
It's a storybook. It's a storybook. Like I said, we exploit our lives when you write music. It's your feelings. It's your good. It's your bad. And like you said, I think it's therapy. It's free therapy. Because you actually get to write these words on paper and say them out loud.
I can honestly say, the one constant I had in my life was the U.S. Army, believe it or not, and music for the longest time until I met Kurt. And he encouraged the music, and I think that saved my life. It really did. I had to hide from I had 2 ex-husbands who were trying to kill me. And so I'd have to move constantly, and I wouldn't report to Social Security, so nobody could find me.
Is your real name Joy?
No, it isn't. My real name, I was really named Joyce, and I changed the name because everybody calls me Joy, so I legally changed my name. But the thing is, you can face any adversity that you want to, but you have to do it with love. I mean, you can't let it get to you or be bitter, or, people are going to do things to you that it's just beyond the pale. But, they have their struggles too. And understanding is what brings us through. Understanding each other is the most difficult thing in the world to do. But once you begin to do it, it'll get you through anything and you'll come out on the other side better. I really believe that.
Well, you definitely have. It brings me back to this quote that I hold dear to me very much. It's like, when you ask God, why do you bring me through such troubled waters? And his response is, because your enemies can't swim. That is the best ever, and always take the high road, because it's always going to prevail. And
true.
And you've done that. You are the accomplishment of that.
Thank you. I hope so. I struggle every single day. There's never a moment that I don't have to correct myself. Obviously, I'm not getting cold for Christmas, so you just heard one there.
Well, I'll bring you a big piece. How's that? You bad girl. So.
Joy's getting cold for Christmas.
And all she wanted was a guitar.
And all she wanted was a guitar.
All right, guys. I'm beginning to lose my voice to the point where I'm not going to be able to talk much more. I really enjoyed this, and I didn't do this so people could hear my story. I did this because I was asked by the people out there to do it. And you two volunteered to be the interviewees. I had a wonderful time. I've interviewed both of you, enjoyed them tremendously, and wish you both as much joy as I found amongst things that were not joyful.
Oh, honey, this has been a pleasure, and we hope to do it again soon. Yes, we got to do some follow-up after the new year to see what kind of changes we've got in store for every one of us. So
I hear you.
Hold my finger.
No. What she said. No, I'm just saying what this badass rocker right there said.
But I have one request. I hope to see you in Duval. I don't know if I'll make it or not, but we'll try. I don't know if I have a voice. But one thing I want you to do, Raymond, I think you're at home now, but one thing I want you to do for me is I want you to hug that beautiful wife of yours and tell her Joy says hello and she loves her too. And watch where you put your eyes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's funny when I did that. And by the way, I will tell Jess you said hello. When I did that, I literally said to Jessica right after they took the picture, I said, the first person to comment is going to be Joy. Where your eyes at, boy?
Yeah,
I'm a grown man, damn it.
There's a picture of Jessica on this in a neat blouse and a skirt, a tighter pen skirt or whatever they call it. And his eyes are looking right at her bosom. And I had to comment.
Joy. No. I told you. She asked me if I would be willing. She said, Ray, because you're such a polite young man and the love of my life, would you be willing to count the dots on my blouse? And I was. I tried to tell Joy that she said I was full of it. I'm innocent, I tell you. Innocent.
All right, guys.
Anyway, it was fun today.
Yes, I'll see you soon. And Raymond, you have a chore to do.
Yes, I do.
To all the listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. I do appreciate your comments. Somebody said good interview today. I agree. You two are both you're both good interviewers. Thank you.
This was about you. This was about you today, Joy.
Tons of love to you.
Tons of love to you. Have a blessed day. Happy holiday.
Bye.
Bye, Joy.